Hi, this is a video about how to use the @font_face method to use web fonts in your project. Before, I have a video also about how to use Google Fonts, or I don't have a video about how to use Adobe Fonts, but it's very simple. Those are two methods where you go to their website, you find the font that you want, they give you a snippet of code, you include that in your style sheet, and you're good to go. Basically, when the page loads, it's going to connect to their servers. Their servers have all the font information, and then send that font information back, and the font will look really nice. This is a different method. This is a method where you have a font you want to use, but it's not available on some other hosting web font servers. So it involves taking your font files, converting them to a different format that works in browsers, and then including more code. So it's definitely a more complicated, by far it's a more complicated method. It involves many more steps and adds a lot of code to your project. But it's doable. It's totally doable. I showed you how to do this in class, so this video is for your additional reference. So what I'm going to do is I have a font that I want to use, and first thing I'm going to have to do, it's right here, is I need to convert these into a different file format. And there are several different, online there are several different, oops, excuse me here. There are several different font generators. Hold on just a second, Maggie. Maggie! Knock it off. Okay, sorry, my dog's a little nuts. I think there's a cat outside. She's going crazy. Shh, shh, shh. Calm down. Calm down. Okay. Okay. So this is one. Actually, all you have to do, I should show you first, is if you just search web font generator, you'll see there's the first one that usually comes up is Font Squirrel, Web Font Generator, Transponder. These will probably all do about the same thing. I happen to have this one on this website right now, so I'm going to use Transponder. So first thing I need to do is upload the fonts that I want to use. So here they are. I'm going to select those. Enter. Okay, it's uploaded them, or it's working on it. Okay, there we go. It looks like the italic didn't come through. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna leave all these settings the way they are. It usually works just fine that way. And now I'm gonna click convert. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose download, and it's going to give me a zip file with a bunch of stuff in it. We'll take a look. I'm going to put this in my folder. Okay, so let's go look at what we have. So there's the zip file that I just downloaded. I'm going to open that and take a look inside. Okay, so see here's WOFF, WOFF2. These are the new font files that we need to use. There's also a demo.html sheet file, and I can show you what that looks like. This is a demo of what you're using. We'll come back to that in a second. And then I've got a style sheet here. So I've started the project here. I've got an index page and I've got a style sheet with no styles on it yet. And that's all in my folder here. So what I'm going to need to do is take all these files and put them inside of my regular folder. Right now they're in a separate folder. So I'm just going to drag them. I need them to be in basically like the root folder for the project. So I'm just going to drag them up and out of that folder. So now I have an empty folder here. I can just get rid of that. And now you can see index.html demo. We're just going to leave it there, ignore it. It's not doing any harm right now. We might need it later. So I still have my index page, my style sheet, and then now a separate style sheet. I'm going to rename this one just so I don't get confused. I'm going to call it font styles. And let me show you what that looks like now. If I go back over here, I can see here I've got my regular style sheet, and now I've got font styles. Let's take a look at that. Okay, here's the @fontface method. What this is doing is it's loading those fonts. It's pointing to where you have those fonts located. So this right here is your file path, and because those fonts are in the same folder here, we don't need any like font slash, or we don't need to. We can just call it by its normal name, just like images work, just like links work. It's just the whole principle of naming your font, your file path correctly. And I see this here. It's called Allegria. And then down here you can see that the different ones are named different things, so have different properties. So this would be normal. Allegria bold italic would be font weight bold, font style italic. And you can see the rest of them. Depending on what kind of font you're using, you might have different names right here. This is basically what you're going to use, the text you're going to use when you call that font in your styles, when you say font family. If you have several of them and they have different names, then you need to make sure you use that name. Sometimes it works out that way. Basically, I could type, I'm naming it here, I could type anything in there that I want, and as long as it's connected to all of this, then I would type that into my font styles. But for now, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Then over here, so one thing I could do is, right now, first thing I need to do is, I'm not linked to my style sheet yet. Let me do that. Okay. So, so I'm linked to my own style sheet, even though there's nothing on it yet. I'm not linked to this one yet. So I could do two things. I could link to the style sheet here, and that's probably the easiest way to do it. Let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm going to be linking to two different style sheets. I hope I don't mess this up here. And I called it font styles.css. I'm going to save that. So now I'm linked to this one and this one. So the fonts are being loaded in, and notice I put it above my normal style sheet because you want the fonts to load before you actually call them in your code. So it needs to be above. So now I can go in and try to use that. So I'm going to add it here, I'm just going to add an H1, and I'm just going to say Allegria. I think I spelled that right. I'm going to save it. I'm just going to check my page. I haven't actually changed the font yet, but let's go take a look at it. Okay, so it's in Times New Roman right now because I actually haven't changed the style yet. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to my style sheet. I'm going to say H1. Oops. Font family, and I need to name it the same thing, Allegria. Let me make sure I spelled that right. I'm going to copy and paste it. Okay, yeah, okay, just being careful. I'm going to save that. go back here, reload, and there it's changed to that font. So to recap, let's see, you need to take your fonts, TTF files, and convert them through some sort of online generator, and then you need to link to the style sheet so that those fonts are getting loaded. You could just, honestly, I could just take all of this and copy and paste it straight into my my regular style sheet. It's just a lot of code that I'm going to have to scroll through while I'm working. It's just easier to keep it in its own file. Now let me get back to the whole demo page and what that is good for. What the demo page does is they nicely spell out for you the code that you need to type if you want each and every version of the font in the family. So if I want Allegoria Regular right here, then I need, these are the properties I need to add to my style sheet. If I want bold italic, these are the properties I need to add to my style sheet, etc., etc. So there might be several of them here. Just remember, just use the ones you're actually going to use, because the more of them you have there, the more the longer the page is going to take to upload. So don't include fonts that you're not going to be using. So that's where the demo.html file comes in handy. I think that's it. I hope this makes sense. Please text me if it doesn't. And good luck with this. Happy fonting.